Right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm Catherine Lechner. I think most people that are on know me already, and we will be going through an agenda which I believe Jean has put up on to your screen right now. And I hope everybody can hear me. Okay, and Sergeant Smith is always a good start for us to give us updates on what's going on in the community. And he also had a couple of questions from our members that he's going to address today as well. So Sergeant Smith, I'll let you go ahead and begin.
Thank you, Catherine. Again, thank you everybody for letting us be here. We really appreciate having the chance to speak to so many people at once and kind of get our message out and things we're doing throughout the month. So last month, we'll get started. February was kind of a busy month for us, I think, on the Key. Seemed like we started to get that kind of early spring break crowd, maybe. We saw a lot of people at the beach. But as far as the stats go, I think we had 365 calls for service. And we had 23 of those or about 6% were we used to call them the Part 1 crimes. They've changed with the new year with their recording system. So we're up to about 6% of those. And those include, we had 2 vehicle burglaries. We had 6 assault and battery cases, all of which we have suspects identified and arrested in. We had 6 bicycle thefts. Last month, again, the bicycles seem to be a target of interest lately with people coming around. A lot of those actually this last time were locked up, and I think they were locked up and the locks were cut. But that still continues to be an issue with unlocked vehicles, unlocked bicycles, unlocked and unchecked on items of interest, and it just makes an easier crime for those people. And I say it every single time. I think I've said it every meeting. Please lock your doors, lock your vehicles, put your valuables away, and keep an eye on them. We have to make it as difficult as we possibly can for people to steal our stuff, and it goes a long way. Just those little things like that can make a huge difference and be the difference whether or not your items get taken or they're safe. I know there's a lot of stuff coming up. Obviously, with March now, we have spring break starting. Our Operation Spring Break 2021 with the Sheriff's Office is kicked off on March 1st. And what that means to you guys, you're going to see a lot more of us. We'll have our normal Siesta Key substation deputies out there every single day like we do every other day of the year. But in addition to that, you'll start seeing a couple more patrol guys out there of an afternoon and evening time. You'll start seeing the mounted patrol horses. They'll be out there every day, at least 2 or 3 of them a day. And we're going to be out there every single day of the week. So if you have issues, if you see one of us around, say hi, introduce yourself. If you have questions, ask them. We're here to help. We're here to try to make everybody have a good time and a safe time. So I know, Catherine, you had a couple of questions. I think one of those may have been an email I got from you earlier in the week about the electric bicycles.
Right. So
that's starting to become, we're starting to receive more and more complaints about the electric bikes.
Surprise.
So, yeah. So I reached out to through my chain of command with our legal counsel just to confirm and make sure that the ordinance that we do have is going to include the electric bicycles. I'm still waiting to get an official answer back. But the ordinance, and I'm sorry I don't have it right in front of me right now, but it goes on and it talks about any device that can propel a person or items, or it doesn't have to be a person. It could be a wagon that's motor powered. And it also includes, they put in there, the word is motor bicycles. So I just wanted to make sure it is an electric motor, but I just wanted to make sure that is going to be, that's going to fall under those electric bikes. The issue we have with them, and some of the other complaints from people around the Key, is that they are going onto private property. And they're utilizing some people's private property, but they're also utilizing the public right of way and public beaches. And that's where we come in. We can't necessarily enforce that ordinance on private property, but if they're at the water line or below the mean high water line, or on the public beach, and I get confirmation that these are going to fall under the ordinance, then, we will speak with the people and try to get that information out there that they're not allowed on the beach.
Sergeant
You
Smith,
might have any questions about that? Any more questions about that?
I just wanted to confirm there is only one shop, and there could be more by now, but I think we knew about some of these folks beginning last summer. There was one shop in particular down at the South Stickney Point commercial area that apparently just acquired a very large number of these and is offering, I would say, hosted tours along Siesta Beach and also other places in the county, but the one that seems to attract the most attention, of course, is the one that's near us. I did speak with the owner of that shop, and he seemed unaware, although he told me at one point in time the head of Parks and Recreation had told him they could not come onto the public park land and were asked not even to access it by way of the sidewalks. Because it's motorized, they should be on the road. So if there's any way, and I did send a note to Sean Yeager, who now is the one that is the supervisor for the beach parks, and maybe that's someone else you could connect with because he might have answers about the parks ordinances as well. It's becoming a problem because it seems that at close to dusk, if there's a lot of these bikes at the water line or near the shoreline, that's where a lot of people are walking slowly with their backs to where they're coming from. And also it's dim, and there's many people like just to sit in the water about that time. And the water's going out most often. So they're in the public areas and they're going pretty quickly. I'm assuming that's why they like the motorized bikes, because they don't have to get too hot and sweaty. And they're able to be under that kind of power, which I think must be wonderful. But there's just going to be way too many people, I think, for that not to be dangerous. And
and those things can move pretty quick, and they're extremely quiet. And and if you're not expecting them to be around, they catch up onto you quick. And I think I know the business you're talking about. We've kind of done some research and found a couple of them that are renting the bikes. And I've talked to several of them who have assured us that they do not want their bikes on the beach. Not only because they understand that it's against the county ordinance, but also it's just not good for the bikes. All that sand and salt water gets up in there, and they don't want the wear and tear in their equipment. I have not spoken with the business that you're talking about on the south end of the key, but from other people I've spoken with, I've been told that he's aware of what it is. So that's why I kind of just want to make sure I do my due diligence and make sure that this is going to follow under the county ordinance. When they wrote this county ordinance, I'm not sure if electric bikes were really even a thing back, then, or definitely not as popular as they are now. So I just want to make sure that that's the intent of the law. And so then we can feel a lot more comfortable moving forward and, informing these people they're not allowed to be on the bike. And then, if have to, follow up with sanctions to make sure they're in compliance with the ordinance.
And there are many places that we researched lots of places where they're allowed. Even the Legacy Trail will allow these motorized bikes if they don't exceed, I think, 18 miles per hour,
right.
As long as they're careful. And they aren't always using it. So there are places for them to go for great extended periods, and including having water views. So if I ever come across one, I'll be sure to advertise that to them, that there's alternative locations. And I believe they could go to Myakka Park and the Legacy Trail and other locations as well. But that'd be one.
Hey, Catherine, that's a very good point, Catherine. It's Mike Holderness. The county code says that they can have the motorized bicycles where it's posted. So the concern I have is it's not posted on the beach, and the county's a charter and they regulate the mean high water line. But what else concerns me is the county should change their wording on their sign at the main beach, because it says walk your bike past this point. Well, that says you can ride them outside this point.
Right. I believe that's the issue. They don't want people even riding bikes when there's lots of people around. And I think that is an issue. In fact, I told Sergeant Smith, I remember years ago, they actually had to forbid kite dune jumping believe it or not. People have those body kites, and then they just, with the boards, and they'd be flying up over the dunes and not realizing people might be there on the other side. And so they actually put an ordinance against that as well. And that's not even motorized. So felt like it's pretty fair to ask about this. So thank you, because we have a lot of people asking about it. One other thing.
I can't.
I got one more thing.
Sorry.
Sergeant Smith, I think I'd asked you in particular about amplified advertising, people scrolling, speaking through megaphones at people that are lying on the beach and all. And I wondered if you'd had a chance to speak to somebody, because I had several complaints, and actually people that felt very uncomfortable and very disturbed by being, people coming up to them with these amplified speakers and broadcasting where they are. I guess it'd be like the worst kind of radio in your ear,
Yeah. So that would fall under what is the noise ordinance with the county. And, it can be kind of convoluted sometimes. But things that we need from law enforcement to enforce that county ordinance is we need a victim or a complainant who is willing to give their name and fill out and sign an actual form stating that they are the ones that are complaining about it. Law enforcement in that situation, we can't be victims. We can't be a complainant. So we're acting on behalf of the government. We cannot be the victim. So we need a citizen to be a complainant, someone who's willing to come forward and give their name and speak with us and actually make a report. We can, if we determine that the noise that they're making, whether it be amplified voice or music, is causing a disturbance and it's above the noise meter, a decibel, and there's a big chart in there that talks about what noise, what level of noise is allowed in what areas at what certain times. We can address the subject and let them know that they are in violation. With that, we have to give them what is quoted as a reasonable amount of time to become in compliance with the ordinance. Reasonable amount of time defined in the county ordinance is 15 minutes. So we can go talk to them, say, hey, you're causing a disturbance, you're being too loud, and we give them 15 minutes to come into compliance with the ordinance. If they come into compliance with the ordinance, then we no longer have a violation. If they don't and they continue, then we can write them the noise ordinance violation. And I think it's good for a year, or I don't remember the time frame. It might be 6 months or a year that violation is good for. And if they violate again, then we can make a physical arrest on it.
Okay. So what is difficult, I'm guessing, for a lot of people that are not from here, who would not know how to contact anybody about enforcement issues, I guess they would have to flag down somebody. Like if you're going to be on the beaches a lot, they could see you and flag you down.
And they can always call the
horses are hard to miss. That's true.
Yeah.
But if we need to put that out there as something you think would be helpful to people, we're happy to put your number. We can do it on a Facebook post saying, if you have troubles, here's the number. As a Facebook entity, if you have difficulties on the beach and they fall in the category of you feel that you are being interfered with in any way, this is the number to call, because you'll be out there and probably you could go right.
The best course of action is for them to call the sheriff's or dispatch center at the sheriff's office.
Okay.
They'll get all the information, their location, and they'll dispatch us out to it.
Okay.
And that also helps us keep ourselves accountable as far as the calls for service were going on. It helps keeps us a record for public records requests and keeps us in compliance with all the other laws that the state has.
And would you say that number for the folks that are on right now that may not have that, and we'll make sure that everybody has it, and then they can also share it where they would like to. Which number would you like them to use?
So it's 941 316 1201. And that's the number to our communication center. It's our non-emergency number. Obviously, if there's something that is pressing and it is emergent, call 911. But if it's something that's just, it's not an emergency, but you still want somebody to come out and either talk with you or address the situation, 316-1201.
Well, that helps a lot. I hadn't heard this kind of a complaint probably since more than a year back, and it was occurring primarily in the village. You might remember those times.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
And
that helped.
just a note to that, Catherine, sorry to interrupt you. An exception to that rule in the county ordinance is the unamplified human voice. So if it's just somebody out there preaching or talking or telling whatever message they want without amplification, it is not a violation of the county ordinance.
That's good. That's very clear then. And if it's amplified, it becomes something different then. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you. I really appreciate
Can I
that.
ask a question? Catherine, this is Steve DeBoston. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Go right ahead,
Because
Steve.
I'm the one who contacted you about this. Thank you, Sergeant Smith. That's helpful. Just so I'm clear, we should call that number while the activity is going on. In other words, I could not file a complaint now about something that happened last night.
Correct. We have to observe it.
Okay.
So once you call us when it's going on, so we can get there, we can observe it going on. That way, then we can give him or whoever it is the warning and the ample time to come into compliance.
And would I need to get a name of somebody or just say there's a group at this location?
Nope. Yep. Just hey, call. You can remain anonymous if you'd like. Again, there's not a whole lot we can do if you remain anonymous. We need an actual name and a physical person in order to enforce it. But just, your name, your location, what's going on. Dispatch will ask you those questions anyways, and say you would like a deputy to come out and address the situation.
Thank you for this phone number because I didn't want to bother 911 with something
Right.
like this.
That's great. Thank you so much. Because that's the thing we've had before, but I hadn't heard it in a while. So thank you very much. And thank you for sending it in, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Can I ask a quick,
Yep.
Catherine?
Sorry.
Who is it?
I'd just like to ask a very quick question if you have time.
Okay, go
So-
ahead. Sure.
Hey, Sergeant, living at the south end of the Siesta Key and seeing some vehicles that I've never seen before, non-licensed vehicles on Midnight Pass. Is there any non-licensed vehicle that doesn't really belong on the road from a legal standpoint?
From a legal standpoint, there's zero exceptions. Well, maybe for law enforcement or emergency personnel for any non-licensed vehicle to be on the road. Every vehicle on the road has to be registered with the state of Florida or with a state.
So one of the problems, I don't know what you do about this, but our bicycle lanes are so narrow on South Midnight Pass. You really have to always assume that people are going to come out in the road on you. You're going to hit somebody. But some people actually think that they can ride those bikes in the road at a time when there's high traffic. Are they violating a regulation or law when they do that?
I'm sorry, which bikes? Are you still referring to the
Bicycles.
electric bikes?
No, in this instance, it's frequently pedal bikes.
Okay. So a pedal bicycle is not considered a vehicle by the state definition. So they don't have to be registered because they're not considered a vehicle. But yes, they can drive in the roadway. If a bicyclist is driving in the roadway, they have to follow all the same laws as a regular motor vehicle would. Stop for stop signs, give turn directions, stop direction. They still have to follow all those rules. It does. I know exactly where you're talking about. It is a very narrow spot down there. Every time I drive through there, I'm just on high alert all the time because I'm afraid.
You have to. Yeah, you have to be. So if it's an electric bike, if electric bike can be in the road without a license?
According to the state statute, they are not considered motor vehicles. Any motor vehicle has to be registered, have a license plate, insurance, all that kind of stuff. Just like, the golf carts that drive around and they have license plates on them, they've been registered with the state just like you would your normal car. To my knowledge, electric bicycles don't fall under that category. And I know pedal bikes definitely don't fall under that category.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey,
Tom, you have a
Sergeant Smith,
question?
can I ask you
You have a
one
question? Excuse me, I'm going to let Tom go now. Tom, you have a question?
Yes, Tom Surprise. Steve and I, the other night, again, for the fifth time, I have witnessed a seasoned citizen crossing the road and people not paying any attention to
at the lights or anything. They just sail right on through and almost hit this lady and just kept right on going. The caution lights, what my question is the caution lights, they don't pay attention to them. They just sail right on through, and it's especially bad during dusk. I would like to know if you have any suggestions of an approach that I can get somebody's attention, that we can maybe get red flashing lights there. So that means they have to stop if somebody's in the lane. The way it is now, they don't pay attention. 5 times in the last 2 years, and I have been almost twice hit myself. And then this one last night, and then 2 others where other people, they just sail right on through and they don't pay attention. With a red flashing light, that means they've got to stop, look both ways and go. With the yellow, that only means, well, yeah, go. Do you have any suggestions on an approach to gather somebody's attention in power?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me address. I know the lights are flashing yellow, but it is the law. If someone is in the crosswalk, motor vehicles have to stop. That is the law. Now, as far as getting those lights changed from yellow to red, I'd have to refer you to the county traffic ops, and maybe with the Florida Department of Transportation. They're the ones that regulate all the signage and what the lights have to be. I'm not sure what those regulations are, if there's certain laws that require them to be yellow and not red, or whatever color they choose to put them in there. So I'd have to refer you to the things. I'm not that familiar with the intricacies of the signage for the crosswalks. I would also suggest that I'm glad you brought that up, because it's going to get even worse and worse this year with the amount of people we have coming out to the beach. Please, the residents, everybody here, take your time, account for the extra traffic, account for the extra pedestrian traffic. If you need to leave somewhere, maybe plan to leave a little bit earlier. It's going to take you longer to get around. Everybody knows when you're running late, we try to rush. I'm guilty of doing the same thing. Try to plan ahead a little bit better, account for the traffic, account for the people, take your time and make sure everybody arrives safe. If you're trying to cross the road, please use the crosswalks. The county and Siesta Key and the traffic ops people have spent a lot of money to make those signs and to make those crosswalks. We got to make sure people use them. And when you do use them, when I use them, I always assume the person's not going to stop, right? Make sure they stop before you start going, and then you can start going. And I know it's the law is they have to stop, but it's always to err on the side of caution. Make sure they stop before you go. Even when I'm out there in uniform trying to direct traffic, I don't step out there until I see that person sees me and they're slowing down and they come to a stop. I hope that helps answer your question. The DOT and the Florida DOT, Department of Transportation, and our county traffic ops section are the ones who regulate that stuff. They're going to be the ones to be able to let you know if it's even possible to change those lights.
Could you provide us, Sergeant Smith, with a contact? I mean, even if you can't do it now, would you send us one that you think would be a good contact to look at sites that seem to be more worrisome than others? Because maybe we should talk to somebody in the traffic.
Yeah, let me write that down. So I'll.
Yeah, just send an email back, and that way we can follow up with it maybe for the next meeting, because there might be some specific areas that are really more worrisome than others, not all, and it'd be good to know.
Definitely.
Mike, did you have your final question?
Yeah, final real quick question. So our mean high water lines go out a little bit into the water and block 7. And I asked the guy nicely twice not to bring the tour and the speeding bikes. They break loose and just go right across 20, 30 miles an hour. And I said to the guy, you know what? Just don't come back. You're trespassed. Well, he's out here every night. And then Constantino gets on the microphone and tells the guy he doesn't have to listen to signs and he can come out here.
Mike, not the place.
Can you have a deputy out here?
What was the last thing you said, Mike?
Can we have a deputy out here and officially at least trespass him from access 4 north? And I mean, that would help mitigate somebody getting killed by these bikes.
Yeah, just like with anything else, if you have somebody on your property and you've asked them to leave and they don't want to be there, call us. We'll come out there and inform him that he needs to leave. If you want him trespassed, then we'll issue him a trespass warning. I can't necessarily say I'll have somebody there on any certain given day and time because I don't know what the other calls for service are going to be like for that day.
Yeah, they always come at sunset, but the problem that's a shift change at 6 o'clock. So I've tried 5, 6, 7 times, and by the time they get here, he's long gone.
Well, we should have some people down there, Mike, for sunset, especially now with our Operation Spring Break kicking off. We'll have extra deputies out here, and I've relayed to all of them the importance of having someone there, at least for some presence of a sunset time. I know it's a busy time of the day out there. So if you see one of them sitting there, ask them. And if not, we can, call us and we'll try to get out there as quick as we can.